Take a pic. You got a pic? You got a photo?
No, I was just gonna have a look.
All right, man.
What do you think of it?
Yeah, I think that we can't prove that the Earth is spinning, right? There's no
it
experiment.
doesn't spin.
It doesn't spin. Earth is not moving.
No.
There's no science experiment that shows that we are moving.
Yeah.
And your senses tell you you're not moving. This is
Yeah.
important. Your
Yeah, you
senses.
can see it in the sky.
When you're 6 years old, you're robbed of your senses when a teacher says to you, you can't tell that you're spinning 1,000 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And you can't even measure that.
We are spinning now.
Which direction? You don't know. You don't know. See,
Yes,
if we were spinning, like if we were in a car moving in one direction, everyone would agree, we're moving in this direction.
If you close your eyes now, you can't say.
Okay, but if you take the roof off, remember your globe has no roof.
Okay, but
Yes?
no,
Yes?
no, because the atmosphere is a closed place.
So the atmosphere is like the roof of a car.
Yes,
No.
we can speak.
No.
Because the atmosphere
I'm sorry, I can't let you have
spin in the same sense of the earth. So
So how fast are we spinning? Do you know?
I don't know the
don't
exact velocity, but I'm sure that
Can you estimate what speed we're spinning at?
I think there's a lot of speed.
Okay, so I'll tell you what they tell us it is. It's 1,000 miles an hour. We are spinning at 1,000 miles an hour,
Yes.
which is faster than the speed of sound, but we can't measure it and we can't feel it. So that's a problem for the belief system and the idea. So let me offer you this: that at 1,000 miles an hour at the ground level, if I go up 10 miles,
Yeah.
it must be going faster. And if I go up 100 miles, it must be going faster.
No, because the atmosphere spin with you in
I
that.
got that. I understood that. But what I'm saying is, if it's spinning with me, and this column of air for 100 kilometers is spinning with me, yes, you understand that that has to be going faster. But there's nothing to push it to make it go faster.
Okay, yeah, but if you're higher, you have to spin low, not faster.
Sorry, if you
If you're higher,
gravity, because it falls down. Does a football go to the bottom of the swimming pool? Why doesn't a football go to the bottom of a swimming pool?
Because it's not.
Because it's less denser than the swimming pool.
Exactly.
It's less
That's the
dense.
answer for everything. Either
But
it's
not.
more dense.
But
Hold on. Either it's more
water
dense.
and gravity are different.
Either it's more dense or less dense. No, well, actually, the atmosphere is like a thin water, and it gets thinner and thinner the higher you go up into the mountains. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, this piece of paper will fall quite slowly. Why? Because it's got resistance in this atmosphere. So if you dropped a stone and a similar weight polystyrene ball from the same height, the polystyrene ball would have more friction on it. It would move more slowly. So this example here we have is all different liquids, and they're floating at their own buoyancy point. Yeah, and then there's other objects that are sometimes floating or settling depending on the density in that medium. So things are either going to rise, like the helium balloon, because gentlemen, let me offer you this: the helium balloon doesn't feel gravity. Yes?
yes,
The
it
helium
feels
balloon-
gravity, but the force of gravity is lower than
Then the helium.
then the density. The force goes by density,
Yeah.
so it goes
Yeah.
up.
Yeah. So it's lighter, it's buoyant in the air, just like the football is buoyant in the water. So it's buoyant in the air. So the football, if you push it to the bottom, and this is what we're doing with the helium balloon, we're holding it down because once you mine the helium, it wants to go up.
Yeah,
Yes.
of course.
So then we're told that gravity at 20 miles is holding onto the helium. That's impossible. The only way in thermodynamics to have pressure, you must make a container, a balloon or a gas canister, a deodorant can or a Coca-Cola can. These things must be contained and sealed. Once you break the seal, equalization immediately, and the gas will separate and spread into the environment.
Yeah, because
Wait,
that's what
so
surface
do you
area.
believe in gravity?
Do I believe in gravity? I'm not into a religion, so I try not to go with
Not
belief.
believe. Okay. Do you?
That's what's religion.
Yeah,
I'm not
it's-
talking about.
when you
I'm
can't,
saying.
when
do
you have to
think,
believe
do you
that time
think
and space.
gravity exists?
Which version of time of gravity?
This one.
Gravity.
Well,
If okay.
No. Let me because
Can I
there's
explain-
Einstein
can I-
and Newton, right?
No, okay. Can I explain
So which
without
one-
using technical words? Can I explain what I think gravity is?
Yes.
Okay, so say you have a net, right?
You what?
You have a net. You put the ball. You tie the net to two stands, equal sides. You put a bowling ball on
Yeah.
the net. The net represents say space.
I know this
Put a
experiment.
bowling ball on the
Something
net.
heavy in the neck.
Yeah.
Yes. This is
Something
time and
heavy,
space dilation.
Things like
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
But it circles around like a ball and string.
Yeah, you
right?
know what they'll never do? The science teacher will never do? They'll never let it run 3 times around, because by the 3rd time around, it's going to hit the center.
That's what?
It's going to have hit the
That's
center.
because-
Whatever the weight is going to draw it in. So now the
Yeah,
example
can
that you
I-
give me,
no,
but
that's
I'm
two
here to
different
teach.
things. There's
I'm
two
here to
different-
teach you.
I'm going to teach you. I'm going to teach
I don't think that's possible. I've been doing this on the street for 5 years, and no one has
Yeah,
ever given me
but
any evidence.
maybe
that
you've done that on
we
the
live on.
street.
The G for the
but-
deodorant is due to diffusion.
The gas will diffuse when you let it out.
Yeah, because it diffuses, it goes
But
around
it's
the
got to
air.
be contained in a tin. You can't contain it in a gas.
Well, yeah, but
So let me
You
just
have-
get back
you
to
have
your
some
example.
string.
Let me get back to your
You
example.
go, you have a ball.
A string.
Gravity.
Yeah. When I was 8 years old or 10 years old, my teacher gave me that example in science class, and I was forced to believe it, because if I didn't believe it, I would fail class. But I was angry about that, because I was saying, so you want me to believe that gravity, which is this thing falling on the floor, apparently because it's more dense, yeah, is now a string and a bucket. You see, a string and a bucket are two physical things. It's the same as the trampoline or the net example that you just gave me. The net is a physical thing held up by something physical. Time and space are man-made concepts and cannot be tangibly touched. You
Well,
cannot
so
touch
is-
time and space.
aren't you always touching space technically?
We're in space now, yes.
So that means you're always
But
touching it.
We're in space, yes. I
Well,
agree that we're in
we're in
space,
time, aren't we?
but once we're inside the canister.
Okay.
Once you go outside of the canister, there's
die.
meant to be there's meant to be like an
Time
equalization.
is okay. Time. You can't touch time, but you can't touch pain, right?
Can't touch-
You can't touch happiness. You can't touch pain. But we
Yeah, but
know
I'm
that
not going to say,
that's
I'm not going to
there.
give you a version of the Earth that
There's
says because of
more than-
happiness,
yeah.
Earth is floating on happiness. I might just as well say that, or reindeer farts. I could just, okay, you can actually touch those, but unicorn, farts.
But they're
The
two
u-
different things because one's they're two different chemicals. Happiness.
Dopamine. Yeah, but you
Dopamine.
can't float it. You can't float on
Dopamine,
it.
you
can
can't really
I mean,
touch
obviously, you
it,
might feel
but
it's
it-
floating, but you're not going to float your drink and say, I'm floating my drink on happiness or time and space. These are just theories. So what I'm trying to say is that we don't necessarily know exactly how the world works, but I'm trying to dial out of believing in theories.
Some people do.
Some people claim
Yeah,
to do.
yeah, but you don't. This is incredible, unbelievable.
Yes.
Really unbelievable.
Does it make you angry?
Yeah,
I
actually,
can
yeah, because some people might actually believe you.
That's a good idea. I hope they
Yeah.
do, or rather that they go and do their own research. Because
Incredible, man.
what
Go
if
and do that.
what
You
if
can explain why this is round. Those
if-
planets, why are they round? What makes them round?
Do you think that this major
What makes the planet round?
let's try and calm down a little.
Huh?
Try and
What
calm
makes
down.
it round? Tell me.
What makes what round?
The sun, the moon.
The sound is
yeah.
round. Yes, I see it round.
Yeah. What makes it round?
I don't know exactly how
Okay,
the
well,
sun
study
works.
then.
But round is not a sphere.
need to
You don't play
study, man.
football with a round. You play football with a ball.
So do you think that this image is real?
No, this is just an artist's rendition of what it might be.
Do you think that's real? The north, south, south? Because
Oh well, yeah. I mean,
this
this
is
is
due to the
this is real, right? This is a 1950s. Let me. Well, okay. So how the sun works is not exactly certain, but the sun is small and it travels over the Earth. Let me finish. It travels over the Earth once every 24 hours, but the sun is small and local. But the way that you see the sun and I see the sun will be different depending on where we stand.
Why have we
The
never
sun, the
reached
sun,
the
if the sunlight, why the sunlight?
Doesn't light the whole of the flat Earth. In the same way as if I put that light on there, that one light there. Can you see that light there? If I lit up that one light, would it light all of Bournemouth? No. It would
yes,
only light
yes,
a small
yes.
area.
That's
No,
what
no.
19
yeah,
is.
light does actually travel. It's just a less amount of light travels.
How far though? You see,
But
this
if you-
idea
if
that it
you
travels
hold that-
infinitely
if you hold
Yes,
that
it could.
It could,
gun
it's just a less
up,
amount.
It'll be less light, but more spread out.
But
Like the
eventually,
sun.
yeah,
You,
no, eventually.
you can't see this light
So-
in all bathroom because there are obstacles around.
No, well, we're
That's
saying
why.
that, like, if I took
The sun doesn't have
let me give you-
any obstacles.
what you're offering me is just the brainwashing. I'm trying to tell you something new. So if you listen, You might learn something.
Did they brainwash you to not make shoes?
Why don't you
Brainwash
listen
me?
to
No, they brainwash
the
you to wear
brain?
rubber soles, son. Because rubber stops you from touching the electromagnetic earth that you stand on. So earthing is a very good thing to do.
But then why don't you wear shoes but you wear a jumper?
I'm keeping warm. But I'm earthing at the same time.
Why can't you? Okay, why can't?
But don't make this
Why
personal.
haven't-
This is
why
not
haven't
personal.
we
I know you're
fallen off-
offended because your religion is under attack.
Is there-
But you don't need to make it personal. Well,
We
why are
did
you
not feel
asking me about
attacked.
my dress code? Why are you asking me about my dress code? I'm here to break your reality. And if you don't want to face that, it's okay. But I'm just telling you
It's
that
okay
the
that you don't want
idea
to
that
face
we
the
live,
reality that you're, but you
That
don't
water's level?
know the whole thing.
Water's
but
level.
Yet,
water is level. The drinks in your cups, you can slant them at different levels, and both of them will come to the same level. It doesn't matter what you do with the cup until it falls out, of course. But the water will find level, and that level will be horizontal and parallel to the next body of water.
Okay,
you
wait,
think
wait,
gravity
wait.
exists?
So
Why
water is
can't-
level.
Do you think gravity exists?
Why haven't we?
Gravity's a theory. How can something that's a theory exist?
It's a scientific theory.
So just adding the word scientific means I could say
Okay,
it's a
why-
Christian theory that Jesus was the Shroud of Turin proves that Jesus was alive.
But there's no actual.
You see, there's no actual proof of gravity
Wait, are you
other than to say
Christian?
something
Are
fell
you,
on the
are you
floor.
Christian?
Christian.
Wait, are you?
Are you
not-
atheist?
Does that disappoint you?
Wait, are
Because you
Christian?
can't attack me because I don't have
No,
a
no, no,
religion.
are you-
I'm against
I
religion.
know,
I'm
I'm
not
fine
against
with that.
religion. I think people can believe whatever they want. You can
Okay.
believe that you live on a spinning ball and evolved from apes.
Oh, we should have brought Ethan.
That's what I'm
I
trying
don't want
to
to face some Ethan right now.
Yeah,
But no, I'm trying to break people out of the religious
yeah.
spell.
I'm religious, but it's more like a cultural thing, like my ancestors.
Spiritual thing.
It's-
I
it's
think
more
that we
like
are
a-
spiritual beings. I think that there is a God.
Yeah.
Yes.
You think there is a God? You think there's a God, but you're not
I'm
religious.
pretty sure, yes.
Why haven't?
Do I have to have a religion to believe that?
Sort
Do you
of.
know what? That most religions don't agree with the other religions. So what kind of belief in God is that when they're all at odds with each other? I say that there is a God or a source or creator. We can use the word God because people understand what I
But
mean.
then why does God
There's something
create so much
omnipotent.
bad
God-
thing like
that's-
terrorists, gun
That's man doing
shooting?
that.
I'd
You
say
don't think
that-
that that's man doing
Well, then
that?
why
I'd
did
say
God not
people this-
interfere?
I give people this example. If you take 10 puppies, put them in a cage, and only put 3 puppies worth of food in, soon they will be fighting each other. They will not be nice dogs as adults. And even their children will probably not be nice because you treated them so bad. And that's what mankind has gone through.
So you're
is that
saying
we-
God is a bad person now?
No.
I think God's
I'm saying that we live in a world of duality
I think
in which there is good and evil. But
I think God is chaotic.
but people are lazy
neutral.
and they've fallen foul of the 7 deadly sins.
I think.
7 deadly sins. So you are Christian?
you are Christian.
But there are things like greed. That's real, right? You see greed in the world.
Is greed bad? Or because if you give all your
Yes.
money away, then you be homeless and
That's
then you
not-
have no life?
No. Now you're going beyond. The greed is when I need to have $100 million, not just $1 million. And not only when I've got 100 million, I'm looking for more ways to impoverish you.
Isn't that
make
called
me richer.
ambition?
And that's called greed.
Wait,
How much money does one person need?
why haven't we fallen off the side of the earth?
That's a very basic question. We actually don't know that there's an edge of the earth, and we know that, like with your cup,
Okay.
that drink must be contained.
So you go. So you keep walking. Say you can. Say
No,
could
you
just
can't.
walk-
There's no edge. The idea that people used to think that you would fall off the edge is only indoctrination or brainwashing, like Flat Earth Society, to make you believe that in Flat Earth is impossible.
Do you believe flat Earth then?
I believe that the Earth, the sea is level.
So it's flat.
Well, I mean, obviously you've got mountains, we've got
Wait,
terrain.
we do have actual pictures.
We do? When you say we, do you mean NASA or do you mean your
NASA.
family?
NASA.
Ah, okay. So NASA is the government, and NASA in Hebrew means to deceive. And we can show obviously that they never went to the moon.
Sure about that.
They obviously never went to the moon. There's a documentary called "The Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Moon." And,
Do you
and
believe the
another
land
one-
moon?
sorry, but
no,
how-
the moon landing, and
how
another
did-
one in which
You believe-
another one in which these astronauts, 10 of the 12 who landed on the moon apparently, were offered this. There's a video called "Astronauts Gone Wild," where this guy offers them $5,000 to the charity of their choice. Put your hand on the Bible and swear you went to the moon. None of them do it. Neil Armstrong says, "Knowing you, Mr. Tabrell, that's probably not a real Bible, so I won't do it." But
I have
Buzz
seen
Aldrin.
some of Sabrell's videos.
Oh, you know Buzz Tabrell
Oh, I
stuff.
know about him, yes. But I don't remember him offering money.
That's Astronauts Gone Wild. A funny thing happened on the way to the moon is his first one, and Astronauts Gone Wild is a whole documentary on him interviewing 10 of these astronauts,
And he
asking
was
them about
very rude
stars,
to them.
asking them about stars. You know that.
Yeah, but there's
you know-
footprints on the moon.
Pardon me?
There's footprints on the moon.
There aren't.
You've seen a picture
There
of it.
aren't.
You've seen a picture.
They didn't go.
Yeah,
They didn't go.
you've seen a picture of that. Doesn't make it real. I mean, there's a picture of Loch Ness monster. Doesn't make it real.
Picture of Megalodon doesn't mean it's real.
Yeah. Just because they got
Everything's
artist
gonna be fake.
Can
renditions.
I wait? Can I
I
say?
watched it on television.
Because you've seen it on
London.
TV. And you know what the truth is
What do you
about...
think the? So you think
To
the
an
Earth's
alcoholic
flat,
haze.
Yeah. What
Because
is
one of
drowning?
my sisters...
There is
Some people
a-
say it's a wall of
An
ice.
ice wall possibly,
So
but we
after
think
the
it has to be
reception,
enclosed.
My sister-in-law and
This
I
lady
took
knows.
the kids
But
down
why
and
haven't
sat
we
down
seen
at the
it?
bottom.
Why
Sorry?
can't?
And we watched.
Okay, is
So have you heard of the Antarctic Treaty?
So you do believe the moon
The
landed?
Antarctic Treaty.
Well, people have told me
Okay,
that
so
what I
in
saw
1960 they
was
signed the
a
Antarctic Treaty, which stops you and me from
But
going
I
below
don't
the
think
60th
in
parallel. We are not,
1969 they had
mankind is
the
not allowed to
technology to
explore
fake something.
Antarctica.
I
Only
know.
military can go into
You're
certain places.
Around here or you'll get shot down. No, sorry, in the middle.
We've seen ships
why
getting,
shut down?
we've getting,
They don't want you to see what's there.
this is all brand new to you, so you can kind of keep coming up with excuses for it, but this is evidence that I didn't know 8 years ago. And then when I started researching this stuff myself, I was like, what? I never
do you
learned
do
about
for
the
a
Antarctic Treaty. This is what it doesn't matter. Let's not make it personal.
Did you
I'm just
say
wondering.
you're not the Flat Earth Society? You're something
No,
else?
ma'am. Flat Earth Society is a government-controlled psyop to make people think that we
Controlled
think that we're
opposition.
on a plate that's rising at 9.8 meters per second inside of a vacuum. No, we don't know what's outside. It might be like Genesis says that God separates the waters from the waters, and there are water above us. There is water above us, but we must be enclosed.
Sir,
We have to be inside a container because that's thermodynamics. You cannot have gas pressure and vacuum sitting side by side. NASA has a vacuum chamber with 8-foot thick walls. Why? Because you have to separate vacuum from non-vacuum. But we apparently have ozone or the theory of gravity. That's all you need. Because my pencil falls on the floor, now gas can do something that thermodynamics says it cannot.
So why does your pencil fall to the floor?
Because it's more dense than the medium it's in. Why does it float on the water?
Well, then
Because
why-
it's buoyant, because it's made of wood, right? Until that wood becomes waterlogged, it will float.
Well, then
Yes,
why-
ma'am? Am I right?
Yes,
You
sir.
do not need gravity. Gravity will not keep pulling that pencil through the water. But you can take a ton of steel and drop it into the water and it'll fall very fast, but you can hammer it into the hull of a boat and it will float. Why? Because now that same weight has become buoyant because you've spread the weight over a larger area. And that's why when people do flying out of planes, when they jump out of planes, they put wings on themselves. Why? Because they want to slow their descent. They want to control their descent in this medium. So everything either rises or falls dependent on its buoyancy in the medium, which is why we put this example here. We've got all different things floating and dropping through different liquids depending on the relative buoyancy and density of those different things. But what teacher never told you is that the apple that fell on Newton's head had to get lifted there drop by the tree. All of that water that makes up the apple had to be raised out of the ground bit by bit to 2 meters of height, and eventually it was broken, the stem was broken from the tree, and it imparted a certain amount of returning energy because it was now 2 meters to the floor. But if I interrupted that 2 meters with a pool at 1 meter, guess what? It would float on the water. Why? Because it's buoyant in water.
Then
Yes?
why is it if you throw your pen into space, it just doesn't fall?
You've never, nothing's, do you think Elon Musk put a car into space? Do you know Elon Musk, when he did that, he said it looks so fake, it must be real. It looks so fake, it must be real. And people believe the shit that Elon Musk peddles.
Well, then
He's
where's
just-
the evidence
he
against
is-
it?
No, I don't have to provide evidence against it. It's the positive claim that's being made by people that says I can throw my pencil into the vacuum of space. No, you're breaking the law of thermodynamics. It's like me saying I'm going to puncture your deodorant can and keep all of the pressure in the deodorant can. You know that's not happening. We have to be in a container.
that's a question.
Hello.
You said about the government doing psyops. I know
Yes.
that, you know that.
Yes.
Most people know that. What benefit does this knowledge?
Okay.
Let's say you're right. Let's say you're right, okay?
I like
Yeah.
that question. That's at least posing the question. What if I'm right? Why are they doing it?
Well, no, it's what benefit.
Yes, what is the benefit?
What difference is it?
What's the point?
It's not going to affect my enlightenment. It's not going to
Okay,
affect.
so what if I offered you that the Vatican once upon a time was the controlling body on earth, and it used the religion and crusades and so on to extend its control over mankind?
Not forever. 5,000, 6,000 years ago, there were people in India doing Sanskrit stuff, you know.
Yeah.
They were experimenting with.
And all of those people with Sanskrit and the astrolabe, the Sumerians, they believed the earth was flat and that the stars and the moon and they all revolve over our head, and they had predictions based on that model, not this heliocentric lie.
How
So-
does that better us as a civilization and as a
To-
man yourself?
Yeah.
How has it made you better? Knowing this,
Yeah.
how has it made you better?
Okay, well, let me answer your first question, and then hopefully I'll remember to answer the second one. The first question is why are they? What would be the point of them doing this?
No. That's not the question at all. How does it make us better knowing this? Now that we know, let's say we all know the Earth is flat. Now what? Now where do we go?
Well, that immediately takes evolution out of the equation.
Evolution it should be out of the equation anyway. For most
So on a flat Earth, inside a container means that we were created.
Yeah, 100%.
For sure.
100%.
And so most people go around in this delusion.
We can skip all that and be like, okay, let's just listen to the Christians, let's listen to the Hindus, let's listen to the religious people, because they must have higher knowledge. If it took all this effort to get to this point where we're now finally understanding, I guess there must be a God because now I know the Earth is flat, after many, many years of trial and tribulation trying to figure this out. And then we're like, okay, I guess the Christians had it right the whole time.
You realize though that if they pulled off this deception, just take, let alone any of the other psyops, that some people wouldn't agree with you on 9/11 or they wouldn't agree on you on the Gulf of Tonkin.
Well, that's silly.
Even though
they say about gravity, free fall speeds and that.
How does that happen?
Yeah, how does that happen?
You know? So, but the thing is that if they can pull off this psyop of the globe, that means that all governments pretty much are under the control of some central force. These chaps over here said it's satanic, or is that the word? You know, that there is a dark entity, if you like. Whether it's man-made, let me just finish. Whether it's man-made or spiritual, like a Satan, the devil, whatever it is, or some people say it's people from other lands, extended lands that are controlling us from previous civilizations that have come and gone before. Whatever the power is behind it, there is a superpower that's operating here to control our minds. And if I've got your mind, then I can control what you do with your body. And then it also means I can control possibly your soul journey. And I think that's the big prize. I believe it's a soul journey. I'm on that rate. I've only known 8 years. I'm 55 years old. I've only known 8 years of my life. I wasn't planning for this all my life. I was planning for, retirement and golf course. And then I discovered, oh my gosh, everything that you've ever taught your children who've gone to university has been a deception. You need to go out in the world and try and inform people, just in the way that the Christians will say Jesus did, which is to go out and say, hey, you're being lied to by the people in the Sanhedrin here. You're being lied to by the people in control, that they are trying to mess with your soul. All of ours collectively, by the way, but individually, we can only be responsible for ourselves. I can't be responsible for what you drink, eat, or do with yourself. That's up to you.
I think
much respect for you to be able to do that.
More than us.
Pardon me?
I think the government's trying to mess with our wallets more than us. I don't think they care much about their soul.
Okay, I hear you, but remember, I've been seeing this from a completely different world or reality from you. This idea that we come from the evolved apes and that we need government and that without the establishment we would just be, we'd be beating each other over the heads with clubs. That's bullshit. I think mankind loves to be in good harmony with its neighbor, but we are at war with so much.
What's your belief? So I'm guessing you don't believe in. Are you a communist? Are you atheist?
I don't know. I don't take any. Thank you.
We don't.
It's all about morals. It's all about doing the right thing. And with all of this, we've been researching this for the last couple of years. My daughter has not been to school.
Take my flyer, bro.
Do you believe in all the Nephiles and stuff beforehand, or do you know?
I know that there is a previous.
I've done a lot of them.
On an epic scale.
Okay,
for hundreds of years.
Yeah, I know. Have you seen the documentary What on Earth Happened?
Yes.
That's on YouTube, the 8-hour one. I've seen that.
Oh yeah.
That's really good.
Isn't that Martin Leaker's one?
I think so. She's a part of a massive group that's all to do with stuff like this and how the government lie about everything and how fucked up the world is and stuff like that.
Well, but it's most important that we realise once we know that and we're out of our anger with that, is that we realise our spiritual element.
They want to train you in a process.
Is this free thought?
Pardon?
Is this free thought?
Yes.
It's just getting you to understand that they've lied to you for you to then think outside the box to actually do your own research.
You could have easily been misled by this, so that's my point.
But what about your own senses? Are you going to give up your own senses? If you see something in the distance, like it's 50 miles over a lake, and you can see the city on the other side of that lake on a clear day with a powerful camera, are you going to say, no, I'm not seeing that? Or are you going to say, oh, hang on a minute, that's an impelling evidence that maybe this body of water in front of me is level? Because if it was curving like they say, I shouldn't see that.
It doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is the internal state of my inner peace.
Yourself.
Myself.
I think you're right on that. I agree with you on that.
If we're spending all this energy on this,
it's not all this energy.
It's
not all this energy. What it is that if you want to know the truth, if someone came to you and said, I don't want to know about 9/11, you go, okay, fine.
Yeah.
You let them go, and they carry on in their way, and that's how I am. Is if you don't want to know this, that's absolutely fine. But you've got to ask yourself the question, if your friends are saying they don't want to know about 9/11, in your heart you know that they can't face the truth for whatever reason.
Like
they've been brainwashed. Well, I'm saying the same thing to you, brother, is that if you can't face this truth, because it doesn't have to,
open to it. That's
it doesn't have to be like, oh, it changes tomorrow what you do tomorrow, but it's just one of the important, for me it's a gateway truth through which I distill everything else, which is why day one of COVID I was already on the street telling people, don't believe this shit, don't believe what they're going to do to you.
So the thousands of people
Day one.
of people that just died due to COVID.
More people are dying today, young man. There's over a 15% increase. There are 15% people dying week by week in this country than did in 2020. 2020 was not a pandemic, it was a scandemic. It was a plandemic. Thank you. It was a plandemic. It was planned.
Kids are dying of heart attacks because they've had the vaccine.
No, but where did you get that information? Because you've never been to a school.
Have you heard of VAERS, the government's own vaccine injury website?
Have you
looked at that?
Are you saying that 9/11 was
So you're going to believe the one, like this one?
I know it took me a while to.
So you tell me they went against a whole religion?
Yes, because they want religious war.
I know it is.
You tell me they literally committed a war of Afghanistan.
Yes.
So what? For what fun?
Have you heard of the Gulf of Tonkin affair? The Gulf of Tonkin affair is when the Americans admitted to attacking themselves in Vietnam using a PT boat with American soldiers dressed up to look like Viet Cong, attacked their own ship, and then used that in the media to get America to go with war in Vietnam. Let me tell you, when you look into all of the wars, you'll find out that there's the same banking cartel funding both sides.
Bankers' wars.
They're funding both sides, and there is propaganda used to get one country to go to war with another country. And it depends on which country you're in as to what propaganda you receive. Do you think that the Ukrainians are going, no, we shouldn't? They are going, no, we should, because of whatever Russia's doing. And the same is true in Russia.
Who do you think's in the right, Russia or Ukraine?
I don't have it. Who's in the right? It's all left and right.
People are dying.
It's all left and right.
Yeah, but
It's called dialectic. It's called dialectic.
I don't know about NATO pushing into Russian borders to put
It's all dialectic.
So there's a whole story.
But hang on, do you know about the Antarctic treaties?
it's so bad.
Antarctic treaty. It's the world's longest standing unbroken treaty, which includes Russia and America, and they have never broken the Antarctic treaty in 60 years.
Putin's just a nutter, mate. That's what that was.
Well, that's the local programming. I don't take sides in this. But the Russians won't say that.
He needs some shoes.
Huh?
He needs some shoes.
I know,
I agree that the big boys didn't mess around. I don't necessarily agree with that to some degree. But the Russian thing, he's no different to Hitler. Apart from the genocide and stuff like that.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Was Hitler doing it for money? No, not at all.
For control.
There was no control. There you go.
He was doing it for the Vatican.
And he had an ideology.
He was doing it for the Vatican.
Nothing to do with money.
Okay, Putin's gonna die soon. That's why he's got his hand on the big red.
He ain't gonna die. No, we can't get to him.
The world's a stage. The world's a stage, and all the players are actors. And they're getting people to go to war with each other and to hate a country. Do you know that people in this country were paying to put their signatures on bombs that were going to land on people in Russia? Do you know how sick that is? Do you understand how sick that is? It doesn't feel sick when you're so programmed to believe that Hitler or these people are just the worst evil. You know that Hitler tried to have a peace accord with the UK 5 times? I'm not taking sides. I'm not taking sides.
Oh yeah, I'll hand over your whole country and
what are you talking about?
About the D-Day, about the bomb every single day in London.
A minute ago we were talking about... Okay.
His eyes out and swapping them around for different colours. He killed a load of children and gypsies as well, especially. Ben, all alive, all in tanks.
There is
and
child...
there's a place in... The place where he comes from, the tanks, where is still there today, where they got burnt alive.
Okay,
and there's not
that sounds that sounds like a bit of propaganda. Here's some information for you today. Here's some information to you. Let me speak. That in the last 2 years, parents have lined their children up to take a trial needle that is causing some of them to die suddenly. That is a crime against humanity. That's happening in our real time, and we're worried about something that happened 70 years ago.
My whole class got. I never took the vaccine.
Well done,
my school got.
But like I said to
no
these
one's
youngsters
died from it.
now,
No one's
the
died
death
from
rate
the
in this
vaccine
country,
in my school.
is more than 15% higher than it was in 2020 in the year of the lockdowns. It's gone up. No, the aging people were killed off in the first year.
Dying anyway. The average age of death was about 80 years
The
old.
only spike in
anyway.
the only
So
spike
it's
in
normal
2020.
anyway.
The only spike in 2020
Aging
was
pyramid
85.
is like we've got an average age in the Britain is over like was it 60 or 70?
Yeah, Doug, but the UK or has.
So we're gonna naturally die anyway.
But when you're your age, people should not be dying. And people in your age are 15 times more likely to die of heart attacks now than 3 years ago. Tell me why.
Because
they're aging.
Because they injected us with autism.
Basically.
It's one way of looking at it. It's one way of looking at it.
Autism has increased massively since vaccination started.
That's the truth, guys.
yes,
You may not
yeah,
like it.
yeah,
How does that work?